Welcome back, Tamers, to the King's Court. And today we're doing a little special video. Yesterday was our Digimon Locals. And I got 4th place with it, going with, as you can see, Bugs. And of course it is Tyrantkabuterimon. Excuse me. Before we get too far into it, guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, so you know we upload consistently. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And as you know, if we get there before the summer, Channel member Isaac has opened a very special gift. So if you want to see that video, check around. Yeah, so our locals was yesterday, and it was a 3-round tournament, and I went 2-1 with Tyrantkabuterimon. Round 1 was Black War Greymon against, actually, channel member Isaac, took that 2-0. Green has always been a matchup he's not exactly the fan of. And if you want to see his updated Black War Greymon list, leave a like and a comment down below. I'll make sure to read it. Then round 2 is Demon Lords, and Demon Lords I feel is one of those matchups that no matter what you do with Tyrant, you go through all the work of playing the deck, making this big stack, and then Demon Lords just needs to play one option card to out you. Like, that's really about it. And then, but the only thing I will say is that it was not an easy game either way. It was a very fun game, very fair. And then it's just like, okay, pop your Tyrant constantly. Or get over it. And then Lucemon X was actually pretty fun in that matchup to deal with. And then round 3 was against Gallant X. And Gallant X had probably one of the more interesting interactions. So shout out to the homie Bozy. You're about to get clowned on for a little bit. So round 1, or game 1, he swung with the War Growl that was 11k X. He didn't think he was gonna die. Hits Tyrant, dies, and then goes into a 3 security on my level 5 with Gallant X at 2 memory. Him 2 memory. I did develop the Shivamon Ace, spoiler that's in the list, and we bounced the Gallant to the deck. So, yeah, and then game 2, he got it, and then game 3, I got it. So, 2-1. Not a terrible record, but that's kind of how it goes. So let's get into the deck profile. Let's go ahead and start with our Tamers, and we are playing 4 copies of my little Kirby boy, Motimon. If you don't know what Motimon does, end of your turn, if this Digimon has the Insectoid trait, it may attack an opponent's Digimon. Since we don't attack unsuspended, we have to attack suspended. But since we want to kind of run over stuff and do like damage that way, either by gaining memory or trashing security, this inherit was really good. We are playing 5 eggs. And our last egg is 1 copy of Nyaramon from EX5. While Digimon suspended, it gets 1k. All turns. So I like and don't like having the 5th egg. So I like it because it's extra advantage, but I don't like because this is just a really good egg to have. Having this means I can't always swing at the end of turn, which means I got to play my deck a little differently depending on how you want to. Like none of our cards have the effect then this Digimon may attack. So it sucks, but either way, the 5th egg did come in handy for just the DP and numbers that you wanted to hit. Oh, I should probably mention this will not be the exact list I played last night. I did make a few changes that I wanted to make, but I forgot to make it before the tournament. So I'll make that clear when I get to the cards. But yeah. So we're going to get to rookies first. Ooh, sorry, a little dusty here. So our first rookies are 4 copies of BT15 Tentomon. So, starting your main phase, you can suspend 1 Digimon, and then when you're dealing with the Insectoid trait gains 3k DP at the end of your opponent's turn. Going up the line, that's actually pretty good, and then inheritable is all turns when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, gain 1 memory. So this allows you to pretty much get over most things and get back on memory in doing it. And the suspending is actually really nice, because then you can out like problem cards like Ukomon and stuff like that without having to bot deck and go higher than that. Like your opponent was a hard drop in Uko. Like if you go first, Digivolve into this, and then like don't do anything else, and they just hard drop an Uko, you can bring this out, suspend the Uko, then swing over, and you're fine. Like this gets rid of some cards very easily, surprisingly enough. Next, 4 copies of the Tcg. Look top 4, add an Insectoid trait, and then its inheritable is the give 1k DP while suspended. Pretty standard. It's like your second best Evo. Oh, it's one of your better Evos. Like, you play it more for your search than you do actually the evolution, but yeah, that's what I feel when I'm playing it anyway. Next is my little tech. 2 copies of EX8 Tentomon, Nature Spirits. So it develops for 2, 0 on top of a Nature Spirit egg, which is kind of funny. And then on play review, you reveal the top 3 cards. You add 1 Insectoid and 1 Nature Spirit. We are kind of running a mini Nature Spirits package. So this allows you to basically double hit, max value. Max value! And then its inheritable is your turn. Since Digimon gets 2k, that is not having to be suspended. So it's really nice, like against Gallant or against like Crimson Mode Ace. You swing something else and they can't snipe your Tyrant out that way. If it's like, I have this underneath because it's like 16k. And then finally, our last rookies, at least in this current build, is 2 copies of Lopmon. You can play Terramon if you want. You could play, instead of this, you could play Pomumon or Terriermon. Pre the updates I made, I was playing Pomumon instead of a few other cards I was playing. But Pomumon in this meta really isn't that great. Because like against Demon Lords, it really only stops like, you know, Agudamon, which is okay, and some in the Lucamon, but like that's it. And then they just pop your Pokemon anyway. And against like Royal Knights, because that's coming back, that really doesn't do anything either. Like it stops the Omni, but then Omni can just blow it up and then use its effect, so you're fine. So I like this because again the 1k DP, and surprisingly the Alliance can come up actually pretty funnily enough. So yeah, so that's it. 12 rookies. On to our champions, or les champions. We have 4 copies of Blade Kawagamon. On player, when Digivolve, you can give something 3k until the end of your opponent's turn, and the inheritable is it gives 1k DP while suspended. So this plus Tcg makes your stack anywhere above 10k, this and the higher. The Tentomon makes it higher too. It's really easy to, if you don't have much to do, you can just kind of drop this and give power, and then it can't be really wiped out that hard. So it's really good still. It's still a 4 to me. You can cut it down if you want. I like this. Three copies of the Nature Spirits Kabuterimon. On play when evolving, you suspend a Digimon. And then your turn give 2k. This is fine. You could play this, or you could even cut this to 1 and play 2 more of the old Kabuterimon, which is unaffected by effects when it's suspended and gives a memory back when you delete something in battle. But I do like that this is just a plain old, just drop this for 4, suspend something. Really nice. Not much to say because it's like, is that good? And then our final champions are 2 copies of BT3 Stingmon. If you really want, you can replace the ratio and change this to 3 and that to 2 if you really feel like it. I like this one just because, you know, just to gain the memory only during your turn is pretty nice. And again, 1 to Digivolve means that you can do a lot with that. This is how you took your opponent to 1. If you really want, like I said, you can just change this to 3 instead of this. So, yeah, I mean, honestly. Our level 5s. Four copies of Metal Life Kawagamon. On play, when Digivolving, you suspend something. You may suspend something. Then when your Digimon gains 3k DP at the end of your opponent's turn, you don't have to actually suspend anything to do that. You just still gain the DP. And then, opponent's turn, when your opponent declares an attack, you can redirect it to one of your suspended Digimon with the Insectoid trait. Everyone knows this card by now. It's one of the reasons why Tyrant is so annoying to play against. Because if you have it underneath, you pretty much are going to be able to redirect into your big boy. And if you have enough inheritables, you can actually steal turn. So it's pretty good. This or Blade, or what you primarily will drop off of Tyrant's effect. And it's also not a bad idea just to drop this if you already have Tyrant and you have you have 4, your opponent's going to go to 3 anyway. You might as well just drop this and get more value. Three copies of promo Mega Kabuterimon. Digivolve for an Insectoid for a cost of 3, so it is not 4. Evade, which is really nice, and then all turns when it's suspended, it's unaffected. And then the inheritable is when you lead Digimon in battle, you can trash top your opponent's security. That's an either turn effect, which is really nice. And again, evade is actually really good. So if your opponent gives you like a Digimon effect that gives like minus 12k on this while this is unsuspended, you evade, and then because you're suspended, your effect is now unaffected by Digimon effect, which means if that's a Digimon effect that's giving you the DP, you're not unaffected. It was really good. Then 2 copies of Mega Kabuterimon from EX8, the Nature Spirits one. So it evolves on top of Nature Spirit for 3, but we're on green for Insectoids for 3. And so it has Fortitude, which if you don't know what that does, if you die if you're deleted while you have a source, you can play it back suspended. And then while it's suspended, it gains 3k. So if you go Tento and then go into Blade to give 3k, then go into this if you have enough memory. Tentomon, this basically is Tentomon 3, so 3, so that's 13. You swing 3, so it's at 16, 17 because of Blade. So it's 17k on a level 5, which is kind of ridiculous. And then even then, it's still in 11k on a level 5, which is pretty ridiculous. And then its inheritable is when the Digimon deletes Digimon in battle, trash top your opponent's security stack. This is really good. Like, honestly, it's like really, really good to do that. It allows you kind of out resources sometimes. Like, this deck is all about kind of controlling the board, either through deleting cards in battle or bouncing them. So the ability to just kind of never have to swing at security is really good. Honestly, that's why I prefer it that way. And then our last level 5 is 1 copy of Mega Kabuterimon Ace. Yes, I have cut this card down to 1. It is not the greatest, but it is still a good card to run. On play, you just get something 3k DP. On play when Digivolving, and then if it's your opponent's turn and you Digivolve, you can just give this redirect to this, so it's a 10k defending attack. And then, like every other good card of this deck, if it is suspended, it gains its immunity to Digimon effects. So pretty good. Like duh, that effect's really good. Excuse me. So that is it for our level 5. So now we move on to level 6s. And of course, we are going to start with the Big Daddy himself. With 4 copies of Tyrantkabuterimon. Digivolve for 6 with a hefty cost, or for 2 on top of any level 6 with Insectoid trait and 13 play cost or less. So it cannot be on top of himself. When Digivolving, you play a Digimon with the Insectoid trait from your hand, or Larva trait from your hand, with the play cost reduced by 8. And all turns while he is suspended, unaffected by Digimon effects, and then end of your turn, you may play, so by suspending one of your other Digimon, one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck is returned with as much or less DP. And that's confusing. So I'll put it right now. The way you can order stuff is that you can choose to not use Tyrant's effect to suspend something, to swing over and suspend something. So Motimon and Tyrant's effect do kind of clash sometimes because you might want to just swing over. So you don't have to use Tyrant's effect since it does not a mandatory. It says by suspending. But if you don't use its effect at that point, hold on, I'm trying to figure. Okay. Because you would already meet the end of once per turn trigger, and you delete something, and you don't want to delete it, you can't use it. So if you don't use it, you choose not to use it, you would miss the trigger point at that point. So you can't. So say you get back to the end of turn, you can't use it again because it is a once per turn trigger. If you get what I'm saying, I know it sounds really complicated, and I'm sorry to put it that way, but basically you have 2 once per turn triggers that trigger at the same time. End of your turn. So Moti will so whichever one you trigger first. But if you have one that's stupid Digimon on board you want to get rid of, this is really good. And Tyrant is huge. Can be around 20k in most cases, and some decks can't get over it. And against Gallant X, this card is still like MVP. One copy of Tyrantkabuterimon from BT's 15. Starting your main phase or when Digivolving, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and this Digimon gains Piercing. Then when your Digimon gains Piercing. Does not have to be by doing so. And then all turns when the Digimon is suspended, it is unaffected by Digimon effects. It is 12 cost, so it's allowing you to get over stuff. Piercing is nice. Can suck if you run it something bigger than you, but this deck gets pretty huge anyway. So this is still good. I like it as a one-of. For our aces, we are playing one copy of Grand Quagamon Ace. I think it's still necessary to run this card. It's easy to snipe out Tamers. So it's a Digivolve for Insectoid for 3, and then on player when Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's two of your opponent's Digimon and or Tamers. The cards this effect suspended cannot unsuspend or your opponent's next unsuspend phase, and then you delete one of suspended Tamers. So this can snipe out big Tamers, which is what you want to do. And then your turn, once per turn, when this Digimon is suspended, because suspended, one of your Digimon gets Cure Attack +1. So if you have like Piercing and you go end of turn with Tyrant to suspend with this, it'll give Tyrant an extra security check. Same with the lines. So it's pretty good. Like Grand Quagamon Ace is like one of those like kind of derpy, kind of funny cards. I'll say that right now. It's very funny. MVP of the Galamon matchup is Shivamon Ace. It is a Digimon for 3 on top of Pulsemon text. We don't care about that. Hand, Counter, Blast, Evo. When Digivolving, if you have 3 or more security cards, suspend one Digimon, and one of your Digimon gains 3k DP to the end of your opponent's turn. If you have 3 or more, or 3 or less, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So, and if anyone knows kind of like the meme, or not the meme, but like I guess like the little thing about how Digimon works is because it says 3 or less and 3 or more. If you're at 3, you gain both effects, which is how I beat Gallant. Is because we're able to deck his Gallant because I was at 3 security exactly, and he was at 2 memory. And then all turns while he is suspended, he's unaffected by your opponent's Digimon effects, which is pretty nice. It's really good. It's like a mini Tyrant. It gets huge. It's pretty funny. And our final ace is one copy of Tyrantkabuterimon Ace. Blast Evo. On player when Digivolving, if you suspend up to 3 Digimon, for each of your opponent's Digimon effect is suspended, gain 1. So basically it's for 3, essentially. And then all turns up a turn when this Digimon becomes suspended. Until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon gets 3k DP and Piercing, which makes it a better... It's the better of this guy. Honestly, I don't have one because I've never went to get one. If you want to place this for Paladin mode, you very well could. You wouldn't miss this, but I still like it. Plus, my friend gave me this artwork, so that's how we're playing it. Because shout out to the homie Seabit, always participating, getting those good cards. So he gave me this, so I use it. But yeah, Tyrantkabuterimon Ace. We play a lot of aces in this deck. We play 4, and I have gone the 7 overflow because I was stupid. All right, now to options. The first option, the most important one, is one copy of Hidden Potential discovered. Honestly, I would not be opposed to this card getting banned, but I don't know if it will. By suspending one of your Digimon, the next time one of your green Digimon Digivolves, it decreased the cost by 5, which means Tyrant is 1 cost with this. Yeah, this card's really good still. And for free in some decks, like Bloom and any like plant-based deck, like Bloom or Rose. This is like free, or it's even more advantage. 2 copy of Green Scramble. One of your Digimon may Digivolve for reduce the cost by 3, but still pays the cost. Then you pitch this in the battle area. And then start of your turn, if your opponent, you may top deck a green Digimon card in your trash. If your opponent has a Digimon you don't, you may play a Digimon with 1k DP or less, 2k DP or less. And security, you get the playing Digimon by effect and add it to your hand. Scramble's really good. It helps out if you're like running out of resources, or if you're trying to get into certain pieces. If you don't see Tyrant, sometimes not seeing able to see Tyrant because it gets trashed, but then scramble to get it back is pretty OP, pretty nice. And 2 cost options are really nice. 2 copies of agility training. Top 2, look at the top 2 cards of the deck, add 1 green card. Green card. And then place this card in the battle area. And then delay when your green Digimon may Digivolve for its cost, produced by 2. Makes Tyrant a 4 cost in most cases, everything else a 1 cost. So pretty good still. And then our last options are 3 copies of Green Memory Boost. We really don't play anything defensive, so we're kind of just all gas, and our defenses are board getting set up properly. So you look at the top 4 cards, add 1 green Digimon card, then put the rest at the bottom, and then delay, just gain 2 memory and security, place this. Everyone knows the Green Memory Boost by now. If you don't know what Memory Boost does by this point, where have you been? Where have you been? These have been out for a long time. These were cards people that were going to get hit. And then finally, our Tamers. Well, first off, we're playing 2 copies of Izzy Izumi. Memory setter, and then when your opponent declares an attack, you can suspend this Tamer to redirect to an Insectoid trait. Really good. This helps you kind of get around like certain cards. Especially, the problem is like there are still cards that your opponents, if your attack cannot be switched. So, like in those matches like Mirage Galgamon, you kind of have to be like very conservative on your security checks. Because if your opponent just like gets that Mirage Goug or that Mock Goug that can't have his attack target switched, you're gonna have a bad time. And then this is the last update I made. I read a lot of your comments and a lot of you, and I tested this. We are playing 1 Shoto Kazuma. Basically, this makes us have 4 memory in most cases, and then by spending his Tamer, keeping piercing and blocker means that again, Hurt is not necessary because of that. Because now Tyrant can have security, can have piercing, but it's really good. 1 Shoto is really nice. I was playing this a lot in Drip Nightmon. I saw a list for that. If you want to see an updated Dark Nightmon list, also comment that down below. I know we're just trying to feel what we want to play. But yeah, I played it in that deck, and it was really funny. So yeah, I tried it in here too, and it's pretty good. This allows like sometimes like if Mega Kabuterimon or even the Fortitude Mega Kabuterimon, you can make a blocker, and it's really nice to have like weirdly enough like a huge blocker that your opponent may or may not be able to deal with, which is actually kind of funny. All right, guys, like that's the deck profile. It's pretty. I wouldn't say it's standard. It's kind of what I've been toying with for Tyrant for a while. Tyrant is like not always figured out. It's one of those decks that it may like people think it's really good, and it is. I'm not fronting. It's a really good deck, but I also understand people's like it's also complicated to play because it's very reactionary, and board control. And all of you are like interplaying control. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I've been Michael of the Golden State Kings. This has been the Tyrantkabuterimon updated deck profile. Again, we're on a road to 1K, so join us for the ride. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.